Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Thread. You know, we said yesterday that someone sent an email that they don't like our music that intros the episode, but guess what? Here it is.
Some people actually like it, you know.
I know. Can you
as soon
imagine?
as you say someone
Difference
doesn't
of
like
opinions.
it, everybody says, I actually do like that.
I think this might be the last one I'm reading, but of course, the inbox.
On what subject?
I would like to make your father homemade chocolate pudding. I think I might have the best top recipe. If you go to Cafe Renaissance in Brooklyn, that's my grandparents' restaurant.
Where is
and
that?
I'll ask her for the original recipe. Just send me your address and I'll send it to you. So we're getting you some pudding.
Is that on Kings Highway in Brooklyn?
I don't know.
I think Renaissance is on Kings Highway.
Or we're getting pudding sent directly to you. How about that?
Okay.
If this podcast does anything, it gets you free pudding.
Well, so far I haven't seen anything. I got a lot of promises so far. I'm not looking for pudding. You know what? This is very interesting. All the things we've discussed over the last, 2 months, maybe 3 months already. Time flies. So
It's the only thing people talk about is
this is what you call a proverbial lowest common denominator. You talk about the most complex and intricate types of issues, and people are focused on the pudding. Everybody can relate to that. So I'm grateful for that.
We focus on the pudding, but our friend Shmuley Sugar at Quality Stairs, he focuses on the staircases.
Yeah.
Want to give a big shout out to Shmuley from Quality Stairs. This business has been around for over 70 years, passed down from generation to generation. They're doing an incredible job. They now have an in-house architect doing the 3D designs. It's all the old stuff with the modern touch, with the modern flair. So go ahead and reach out to Shmuley. You know what to do. You can give him a call or send him a text at 917-941-0214. That's Quality Stairs. You could be an interior designer. You could be someone who's just doing your house and
you
want good
should
stairs.
Tell your contractor you want them to use Quality Stairs.
Yeah, say if it ain't sugar, I don't want it.
You say you want a stairway that's sweet as sugar. That's what you want.
I like that. I think we just gave him a slogan.
And I have another slogan for him.
What's that?
It's called Watch Your Step.
It's like threatening. It sounds a little threatening to me.
No, when you walk down or up the steps, you got to watch your step.
Okay, I hear you. Well, today is Yud Tes Kislev.
Yes, the 19th of Kislev. Big
and of course, we're here in our kapatas.
Yochanan,
it's under my sweatshirt.
You're not
Yochanan's not wearing one today, though.
Yes, he is.
Yochanan is wearing a kapata. He doesn't want to be disowned. But he's not wearing it right now.
No one's disowning anybody. It's a great.
Today is a kapata day for the Chabadniks out there. Today is a kapata day. If you're a hybrid Chabadnik and you're not sure if you should put on kapata, you should.
It's also very unusual in the fact that it's one of the rare days that Chabad doesn't say Tachlin in Shacharis. Is that correct? Very few days in the year. Everybody else is looking for ways not to say Tachlin in davening, and Chabad always says Tachlin.
So why are we celebrating today? And this is an excerpt sent to me. I think it's written by Menachem Poznansky. It says, today we celebrate the day when a man stood up to the whole world. The enlightened Jews, the Misnagdim, some of the camp of Chassidus, the Tsar of Russia, and even the heavenly court above, and said, we must share the light of Chassidus with every Jew. Every Yid deserves the light of Pnimis HaTorah. It must not be hidden any longer. That man, Tzaddik Yesod Olam, Goyin in all areas of Torah, Rav Shneir Zalman of Liadi wrote a book in which he laid out the foundations of the light of the Baal Shem Tov. Not because he wanted to, but because his Rebbe told him to. And the whole universe tried to kill him for it. Literally kill him for writing a book. And yet he was victorious. The mercy of Hashem was victorious. The Alter Rebbe of Chabad, the Baal Tanya Kadesha, ensured that knuckleheads like us in 5783 have access to the light of Chassidus. Without him, its light would have remained reserved for the mystics like the light of Pnimis Torah always has. Instead, it's open before us. Not just Chassidus Chabad, all of Chassidus. Permission to print and translate Chassidus to the masses. Not only that, but if you think about it, Nefesh Chaim too. And the light of Pnimis and from the students of the Vilna Gaon would likely have remained hidden from the world, reserved in anonymity, like Pnimis always had, out of fear for what the masses would do with it. And that book, what is it? Its heart is in Ahavas Yisrael. Its mind, mindfulness, reflection. It's a promise that any Yid that seeks out an awe-inspiring, passionate relationship with God can have it. That it's right there for the taking for us. Today is a day we must all celebrate and reflect on in gratitude. Today we're all let out of prison with the Alter Rebbe. He stood trial for us, and he won us the right to the light of the Spirit.
Well, listen, there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to be able to explain and understand in a contemporary sense. And there's a lot of what you just said that is very relevant to society, our community, our yeshiva students. in 2022, and a few days before Hanukkah. There's different ingredients of Torah which really are not understood. There's the Nigla of Torah, which is the revealed Torah, the open Torah, and then there's the hidden Torah. Yeah, Nister. It's Nister. It's hidden Torah, which is what Hasidic thought is able to extract from the Torah, more than just Torah is hardly superficial. Superficial is not a way of explaining it. But there's the open Torah, there's the explained Torah that our yeshiva students are taught by the Rebbeim and the yeshiva year after year, the same explanations. And then there's the opportunity to plumb the depths of Torah, which opens up the channels for each individual person to be able to forge and create a personal relationship with God, instead of just thinking that you're pressing the right buttons by, knowing a certain amount of, parshas by heart. Or I don't mean that's important, of course. Whatever you're studying is good and important, but there's a depth to the Torah.
Yeah,
which is,
and I think now more than ever, if year by year, it's like doubling and tripling is really that pnimis Torah, that fire. People that are yearning and seeking it out are receiving it in so many different places, so many different kehillas around the world are really.
Yeah, but
really getting that.
That's great. That's great. It's not growing fast enough. It's growing, but I don't think it's growing.
What do you want to see happen?
Fast enough? Well, listen.
You want to see it mainstream, don't you?
Well, not in large scale, so that it's overwhelming, but certainly should be some kind of introduction in mainstream yeshivas, to understand a little bit of the depth of what goes into the learning, because you can come out of yeshiva being an extraordinary, excellent, student, but still be lacking some kind of essence.
I hear that.
Torah is
something
about.
that is worth noting is that the number of Farbrengens on this day, on Yud Tes Kislev specifically, increases exponentially every year. We're talking 5 towns, Lakewood, Queens, Flatbush, Borough Park, everywhere.
And you're going to look around the fringes of the rooms of these Farbrengens, whether it's in Lakewood or whether it's here or whether it's in Miami Beach or in Eretz Yisrael. You're going to look around the back of the rooms. You're going to see people from different religious sects, Kippas Ruga. You're going to see long payas and up hats and down hats and sideway hats. And you're going to see everybody just, not because they've studied Nista Torah, they studied Chassidus, but they're curious.
They're thirsty for it.
They're thirsty. Like the Navi said, it's going to come a day when there's going to be a hunger, but the hunger is not going to be for bread, and the thirst is not going to be for water. It's going to be for the word of Hashem, and that's what we're seeing day by day here.
Growing up in Crown Heights, what was a day Yud Tes Kislev like for you? Do you have a regular day of yeshiva?
I know you asked me that this morning. I was thinking to myself, I don't think we had off from yeshiva. Why would they give off from yeshiva on Yud Tes Kislev?
I didn't think of off from yeshiva. Was it a regular day, or was it like it was like a Rosh Chodesh?
Well, I don't know. I was it like Rosh Chodesh? I don't know. Do we have to wear white shirts? I don't remember those kind of rules. I'll tell you the truth. I don't think we ever had those kind of rules.
No?
I know that when I got older, I mean, Yud Tes Kislev was obviously had a yontif atmosphere in Crown Heights. It was Farbrengen from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe always went to the Ohel, and he said Kaddish on Yud Tes Kislev because it was his mother's sister's yard site. So he said Kaddish that day too, and it was a solemn day and also a festive day at the same time. So and when you could both look inside and understand the depth of what took place and the sacrifices that were made, and also celebrate it. And I think it's the beginning of the cycle of studying Tanya, which begins today as well, which gives you insight into what is the nature of this relationship. What are we doing here on this planet, and what did God, who we all believe in, what did He put us here for? What is our purpose?
Right.
It can't be the superficial things that we're involved in on a day-to-day basis. Although those are important because we are required to live a material and a physical world, because that's what God created, a material and a physical world. But at the same time, God created the world for us to, while we're doing all these things that are important to us and that sustain us, also our overarching mission is to create a world that is suitable for godliness to reside in.
100%.
And one thing for sure is we're not there yet.
No. Not yet, but God willing, day by day, we are going to get closer. That is today. That is Yud Tes Kislev. So take a drink, make a l'chaim, eat something, make a bracha, and
that's the important thing.
Yeah, find yourself a farbrengen to attend tonight. No,
there's farbrengens
everywhere,
all over the world. There was last night. There was a bunch of them
everywhere. There's no shortage. So you find yourself there, and you never know what it could do for you.
You going to farbrengen tonight?
It's a sham. I hope to go to KMH tonight. Rabbi Yossi Zakatinsky, God willing. So just to follow up on a story that we spoke about yesterday, about Mordechai Ben David not performing in front of mixed seating crowds.
Okay.
Here's an article from anash.org.
Okay.
And the headline is that the Rebbe told me to keep it separate. In light of the recent events in Eretz Yisrael, and this is written last year, where liberal groups have gone to court to stop concerts that have separate seating, a recent interview with Mordechai Ben David on Kikar Shabbos has been making waves. It shows a short clip, but it's in Hebrew, so I'm just going to speak it out. He says that when the first Has concert was organized, which the Has concert's coming up pretty soon.
Is that separate?
When the first Has concert was organized, the organizers went to ask a bracha from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Of course, it was a concert with separate seating. As the date was getting closer, they realized that ticket sales were well below what they expected. So they wrote the Rebbe a letter, and they asked, being that it's an institution for special children, and so much money was already invested, if they can at least have a small section of what is called family seating. Mm-hmm. The Rebbe responded in writing, and I'll translate, all that is written above does not change the Shulchan Aruch, blessing and success. Bracha v'atzlacha. Of course, in the end, there wasn't an empty seat in the house. So that's why MBD doesn't perform mixed seating. It sounds pretty legit and commendable.
Listen, he has a good basis, and he has to be respected for standing steadfast in his position. Mm-hmm. I was talking about people getting confused yesterday.
But I don't think anybody's going on a date.
Two Ishay Rebo tickets, and if people are dating,
they're in two different cities.
If people are dating,
they're 1,000 miles away.
I was thinking that in the New York concert, if people are dating and they go to a concert, and they just suddenly discovered that it's separate seating, and they're getting serious about each other. At least he could text her after 2 hours that we're engaged.
Is this a skit?
He could text her, say, "I think we're engaged."
It's too much Seinfeld on your mind. This is...
I don't know what Seinfeld is.
Oh. Neither do I. Anyways, tell us about this morning. There was something that
New York Times
was on the cover of the New York Times.
Well, listen, I got wind of it last night. It's a press release sent out by the Agudas Yisrael of America. Once again...
So I'll read the press release, but do you want to? The Agudas Yisrael of America.
I'll do color commentary.
Registers deep chagrin with yet another front-page New York Times attack on the Orthodox Jewish and especially the Hasidic community. This marks nearly a dozen articles spewed by the Times in the past 3 months, all defaming and misrepresenting our community. Once again, the reporting exclusively features the opinions and the stories of individuals who have left their communities and those closely affiliated with groups dedicated to tearing down traditional Jewish education and helping religious people have their roots. Conversely, notwithstanding repeated outreach to the Times, the paper has consistently shunned any narrative that does not portray the Orthodox community as backward societal leeches, controlled and persecuted by their own religion. Even the photographs selected, the sullen faces and marching children, are marshaled to further this narrative. This notwithstanding that the Orthodox Jewish community produces thousands of hardworking, successful, civic-minded, peaceful families who are an asset to every New York community they choose to reside in. At a time of rising, alarming anti-Semitism from celebrity statements to thuggish attacks in the streets, the New York Times is investing significant resources to contribute to an atmosphere of hate against those most identifiably Jewish. Make no mistake, our fears are real. We call upon good people of all persuasions to register their outrage and repudiation to the New York Times targeted smear campaign against the Orthodox Jews. So that's the Agudas statement. And it's a strong one. I find it a little bit interesting. Yesterday was a day where Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams and they all sat in a room with the OU and the Aguda discussing anti-Semitism, Maury Litwack. And the next morning, New York Times does another hit piece on the Orthodox Jews. What is the New York Times obsession with the Orthodox Jewish community?
Well, first of all, the New York Times has an obsession with Jews and Israel, and they treat it all the same way. The story that the Aguda is referencing, I read it last night. It's very disheartening, but it's the problem with the Times is they want to generate the impression and project the image that this is that community.
Right.
And it's a community that is suffering because of the fact that it's so closed and people are so inhibited and are limited in the education that they are allowed. That's the impression they want to project. But that's what the story is about. I would say, when I finished reading the story, I said to myself, Nebuch, that's what the story is about. It's about several families, mostly women who have been divorced with large amounts of children. One woman that they highlight in the story with a number of photographs has 10 children. She's divorced. And they say that these people are in unhappy marriages. That can happen in any marriage, in any community. But as part of the divorce stipulation, they want to get out of the marriage so bad, they sign anything. Okay? So they sign that their children are going to stay in the yeshivas that the fathers choose, in this case. Okay? And it's usually the most extreme Hasidic yeshivas with the most limited secular education. And the kids grow up. And they're through their mothers, I guess. In this case, I didn't see any cases highlighting fathers. I only saw mothers in this story, and they feel that as they get more exposure to the outside world, they want their children to have more of a mainstream education. From the stories that I read, they didn't want the kids to go to public schools or anything like that. They wanted the kids to be in yeshivas that have more advanced secular education. But the attorneys for the fathers. They threaten the women that if they're going to move the kids out of these yeshivas, they're going to lose custody of their children. And mothers, they have their issues with the religion or whatever the issues are, but they don't want to lose custody of their children. And if you look at the story, and they use pictures that really do not depict the Hasidic community in a positive light. But I think the biggest offense that the Aguda is referring to is that they want to, like I said, project an image that this
is the entire Hasidic community.
This is the community, and it's one big ball of misery. And that's not the case.
It's so.
And we all know that's not the case. But they time and again want to project that image. Now, also, if you read the stories in today's newspapers about yesterday's anti-Semitism forums with Chuck Schumer and Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams, also they're having the same problem. They want to do with making committees and associations and special boards to fight anti-Semitism. But there's something else going on. As long as you are going to call Israel an apartheid state, and as long as you're going to say that Israeli soldiers are killing innocent Palestinians, it goes hand in hand with Jew hatred. I don't know if I sent you the video. They had a surveillance video of a gang chasing a bunch of yeshiva boys on Avenue J and East 16th Street yesterday with tasers. They were chasing them with tasers.
Why doesn't the New York Times focus on other communities that have real major issues like single motherhood rates? How about that?
I don't know.
Why are we focused on?
I don't know.
On the minority of a minority of our Jewish community.
Listen, this is a vulnerable community, but this is what creates the foundation of anti-Semitic attacks.
I don't get it. No, there are bigger issues. There are more alarming statistics than the one that we're talking about right now. And maybe the New York Times can focus on this. Okay, this is tweeted by Representative Jim Jordan. California in 2021, homicides up 7.2%, arrests down 7.3%. Florida in 2021, homicides down 14.2%, arrests up 6.8%. You go to California, there was a story the other day about that girl we said, Liala Bialo, I think her name in Portland, right? And Portland is one of the most liberal states in the world.
It's a liberal state.
She had a homeless guy break into her house with a weapon.
Good thing he was sleeping. Good thing he was tired.
Good thing he was on so much drugs that's probably funded by the city itself. Why are we focusing on the Hasidic community that does more kindness for the entire New York state? And all the other communities in New York get a free pass for the issues that they're bringing to the state.
Well, you have to, first of all, you have to understand the history of the New York Times, and you have to understand that.
Why? Why do I have to understand the history of the New York Times?
Well, then you'll understand why they do what they do, because there's this myth that the journalism can be objective. That's what journalistic theory is, that you're supposed to report the news without slant, without bias, and without prejudice. But that's gone out the window a long time ago, as you see with the crisis now with Twitter and censorship and the Hunter Biden laptop and President Trump and so on and so forth. You see that it's basically more or less about censorship. The Times, from its founding, has been founded by the Sulzberger family. It's a Jewish family.
Sounds very Jewish.
It's a Jewish family, but guess what? They're members of the Unitarian Church in the city. So like when you had Gabriel Sanders on here, and he told you his church in California, before he converted to Judaism, had 700 or something Jewish families as members of the church. So they consider themselves Jewish, but religion takes a deep back seat to their daily life. So when they see people that wear their religion outwardly and fervently and have a lifestyle, they resent that, because they feel that a very firm community is making a comment on their liberal Jewish community and saying that what the type of Judaism that they observe is not kosher, it's not valid, it's not something that should be accepted. So this is the natural sequential reaction, I think, to that type of feeling.
Yeah, and in case you're wondering where our president, Joe Biden, is while all this anti-Semitism is happening, here's a video. You can see where he is right now. I'm not sure if that's an 8-year-old that's dressed. That's really a Secret Service agent that's dressed up as an 8-year-old, or that's actually an 8-year-old directing the president of the free world, of the most powerful country in the world, the leader, Joe Biden. I think we go this way. I think we're supposed to go this way.
Listen, we have great days coming up. Hanukkah starts in a few days, and then once Hanukkah's over, the holidays are going to come. Everyone's going to take a break and talk about, how people are supposed to be good and kind to each other until after New Year's. Then they go back to being mean to one another.
Are you saying I should be kinder to Joe Biden?
No, they're gonna.
Someone did email us. Someone didn't. They didn't like that. You can't call him by his first name, Joe. It's President Biden.
Someone said that to you?
Yeah.
On Christmas Day, they're gonna have videos on the news of people in soup kitchens in Manhattan feeding the homeless. The next day, they're gonna be freezing and starving someplace. But as long as you do it that day,
it's good PR.
I mean, the whole idea of doing that kind of good work is supposed to be to make an attempt to turn things around for people, not feed them a hot meal on the holiday, and then the next day they're back on the street eating out of garbage cans again.
Yeah, 100%. Breaking news out of Bahamas yesterday. Sam Bankman-Fried, who was hiding out in Bahamas, who is set to testify in front of the committee, the
Finance Committee,
in front of Congress.
Yeah, the House Finance Committee
today was arrested by the Bohemian officials, and he is being tried. This tweet by...
he's going to be extradited to the United States, where he's going to be charged, so it's going to be a long, drawn-out affair. And it's interesting that the day before he's supposed to testify, they arrested him, so he can't testify.
Why didn't they want him to testify?
Justice Department...
Is that going to...
He just gave $40 million to candidates for Democrats, mostly running for...
So that's what Lee Zeldin tweeted. Why not? I don't get it. He's supposed to testify tomorrow. Why not just have him testify and then arrest him?
That's right, because they're afraid of what he's going to say about who he's going to say it about.
The Clintons, maybe?
I don't know about the Clintons have anything to do with it, but
Clintons got their hands on everything.
They're afraid what he was going to say, so the Department of Justice.
That's very scary. And you know what? Something that we discuss a lot about Twitter and the Twitter files, which is constantly a story. I know we're not talking a ton about it, but the Twitter files, which is basically Elon Musk is now at the head of Twitter, and they're seeing all of the suppression that was done while Jack Dorsey was the CEO and the old woke Twitter staff. They're able to see that they're able to see that the Twitter staff would flag certain accounts and say, this account should not have any posts go trending. This account should not show up in any searches. And all of those accounts were conservative Republicans that their tweets would not go viral. If you search their name on Twitter, you would not see anything about them. They're able to control free speech. It's such a crazy thing that we're seeing all these files now that happened.
So actually, and this is me something this morning. There are 2 Yoel Roths in the news. Right?
Yeah.
There's a Yoel Roth from Breslov, which presided over the wedding of a 14-year-old.
Yeah, a 14-year-old to a 15-year-old.
Is that here in New York or in Israel?
I think it's in Brooklyn somewhere.
Oh yeah, okay. And then there's the other Yoel Roth from Twitter. He's the second in command to Jack Dorsey.
Very good.
He's been on the front page of the newspaper for weeks.
I think it's a little problematic.
Getting your Yoel Roths mixed up. You got to have a little picture.
It's a little problematic.
Could you put a picture up here of the 2 Yoel Roths? So
I think by any stretch of the imagination, we do not.
The old Roth
we do not think it's okay for any 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds to be getting married under any circumstances.
The old Roth from Breslov is not involved with Twitter. I think we have to.
I don't think he probably doesn't have a smartphone even.
He probably has a kosher phone.
Yeah.
So everything is kosher. That's why he ended up marrying 14.
He didn't marry a 14.
No, marrying off a 14-year-old with a 15-year-old. I don't think they got married. I don't know the whole story.
You think it's just fake news?
No, I think
someone did confirm it for us.
Maybe did they actually have a chuppah? Did they get married? Or they're just having it designated that they're going to get married when they get older, probably.
They did it tonight last night.
It could be a long time between a Tanayim and a chuppah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting though.
It could be a few years.
This happened in Brooklyn, I think.
It could be a few years, so they may not be getting married till they're much older.
From the dining room, it looked like Brooklyn dining room.
May not be getting married till they're much older, like 16 or 17.
We'll be down Kaf's, but that's,
Well, I'm sure you're going to hear from people that know some of the details.
I know, we kind of always hear from the wrong type of people that are just trying to tear down an entire community besides or just look at an isolated situation and say this is not okay.
I just wondering how many more Yoel Roths there are out there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well that's our episode for today. We got a lot packed in today. We have a lot more to discuss tomorrow. But if you're going to be sending any chocolate pudding to us, please make sure to message us on WhatsApp for the address or email us at thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. Please go ahead and sign up to our WhatsApp status. We have news all day, that the stories behind the headlines, a lot more that you may not see or not know that's going on. So a good Yontif, have a good Yud Tes Kislev, and
enjoy
we will
the Farbrengen tonight.
Yes, enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow.